Hello, my name is Kane Munro, and today I'm talking about business and life advice and song lyrics. So just what are today's lyrics? Now, everyone experiences nervousness. Everyone does. Nervousness is natural. Your heart rate may increase and you may feel that butterflies in the stomach sort of nervous feeling. You may sweat, sometimes profusely. Personally, my heart beats very fast and I do get a bit sweaty. Basically, anything where you are apprehensive or unsure about the situation can trigger feelings of nervousness. Right now it's around 5:45 a.m. and it's blowing a gale outside here in Melbourne, and my 5-year-old is nervous about the sounds the house is making. So nerves can be brought on from bad experiences, good experiences, negative experiences such as a first date which goes bad, or playing a sports match or a job interview, or public speaking, and sometimes the weather, it seems, can also bring on nerves. But let's talk about public speaking. Oh, how I hated public speaking, and it's still not something that I don't think I'll ever be really that comfortable with, though I do find it much less nerve-wracking these days than I used to. Now, back when I started as an accountant in tax consulting, way back in the dark ages, we graduates used to have to prepare a technical tax topic and present it to the rest of the tax division in our weekly workflow meetings. Now, these meetings were great. Generally, as a graduate, you got to sit around and you had catering. Think mini chicken schnitzel focaccias, sausage rolls, etc., which was a godsend for a young graduate accountant getting used to being paid monthly and trying to make my budget make it across one more meal. So most of the time you got a free feed, and 9 out of 10 times you just had to sit back, have your schnitzel focaccias and listen to somebody else present and learn, which was bliss, or as blissful as hearing tax legislation be applied can really be. But that one time out of 10 when it was your turn to present though, man, that was hell. I was a blue-collar tax consultant. By that I mean it was never easy for me to work through complex tax rules. And as a graduate, I had to work really hard to digest, decipher, and communicate tax rules, even to myself. So when it came to presenting a technical topic, this was my own personal nightmare. I remember my voice cracking or breaking as I lost my thought process and the train of thought on what I was meant to be talking about. I remember the shortness of breath, where your chest tightens and your heart beats through it. I remember the sweat. I definitely remember the sweaty brow. What I learned from that and over time was that presenting strongly technical topics is definitely not my strong suit. I also learned that if I practice, then I can basically get better at anything, including harnessing nerves or suppressing the nerves enough before talking in front of people. Doing a little bit of community radio training at Sin FM back when I was in my early 20s, that was a help as well. I also learned that I can usually find a story from my past or someone's past or an analogy or an example that I can weave into whatever I'm talking about. This story basis means I have something that I can lean on or fall back on should I actually lose track of what I'm meant to be talking about. I also learned that slowing down your breathing can really help in coping with the nerves of anything. And I'll often sneak away for 5 minutes of silent breathing just before doing anything where I usually feel nerves. As I've got older, I must say, and maybe with more experience, or maybe I'm just simply careless, these nervous anythings are much fewer and far between. In the last few pre-COVID years, I was lucky enough to be invited to talk to large groups of people at many different accounting events and conferences. And on the whole, I think most of these went pretty well, or at least they weren't a complete disaster of nerves and sweaty brows. Even if they weren't quite enjoyable, they were at the very least tolerable. And the process and practice was great with dealing with the nerves that I would have generally around other situations. Now, it seems a long way from all those traumatic tax talks, but it's not really. I was still petrified with nerves every time before going on to talk, but I could just manage these nerves better and use them better. Like most things, it's all in the practice. That's all this week. I'll be back with another lyric with business and or life advice in it next week. So until then, stay safe, stay well, and keep that sweat at bay.